Mental Training 101. And now back to Get Warrior Tough with Andrew and Dutch.
What up? We are back. Down to the last half hour, the most monumental half hour now in Media Anywhere. Dutch and Andrew. Hey, I want to give a shout out, Dutch, to the squad. That's all. My son Drew, he just graduated. It's all his buddies. They're all out in Chicago. They're doing like a senior trip. So shout out to Victor and Hannah and Steven and Marie and Alina and Abby and Nathan and Emma and, of course, Drew Dog. I hope I got them all. Love you guys. Miss you. Have a great time.
Oh, man, that's a great time in life, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? All these kids, I'm just so impressed with this group of kids. Of course, what's that old saying, right? Birds of a feather flock together. All the high performers, right? They are all flocked together. I mean, you got, Drew's gone to the Citadel. One of them's gone to West Point. They're like Michigan, University of Illinois, Clemson. I mean, they all are. They're just knocking it out, and they're all like super smart and just good folks. I mean, yeah, their parents did a good job, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, they all chose each other too. They chose to be in that space. They didn't just end up there by some random thing. They end up getting put in some group by some teachers or something. They chose their environment. They chose who their teammates were.
Well, this is shocking to me, Dutch, because great friends don't just happen. You mean you actually have to plan and like decide what kind of friends you want? You just don't just like fall into each other's. This is just the same thing we're talking about. You don't just have a great life. You build it. And they built these relationships, and it's based on, they have love for each other, but they went out and found the kind of people that they wanted to be and be around.
Well, I tell you what, it happens the other way too now. But those are the ones we're trying to avoid. As we call the ratchet relationships.
Don't work too good.
when you let relationships choose you, and you've seen it even intimate, personal relationships.
Bad.
When you let that male or female be chosen by someone else, and you had nothing to do with the choice, you were chosen and you accepted someone who pointed you out instead of it being mutual. And we see that. That may sound strange, but that happens a lot. That doesn't end well. So, you need to go out and you need to set your standards, and you need to choose someone that's also choosing you for all the right reasons. It needs to be a mutual connection. Right. You don't need to find yourself in a relationship or a friendship with anyone.
Well, let me just get to the heart of the matter. Whether it's a relationship, having settling for the crappy house or the crappy life or a crappy relationship, it's all based on fear that you're not going to get something else. And so you settle for what you got because you're afraid. What if I'm alone? So I better grab onto this person because they actually showed some interest. So I'm afraid if I let this one go, I won't get any. Or I'm afraid if I don't get in this house, I might not be able to afford another one. I'm afraid that if I don't take this job, I might not get another one. And so you take a job that you hate, you live in a house you don't like, and you're married or in a relationship with somebody you don't like either because you're just afraid that you won't get anything else or anything better.
I counseled a young woman. I'm so proud of her right now. Years and years ago, she graduated from college and had a great job opportunity. What on the surface was a great job opportunity. So we talked about it, and she shared with me that that's not what she actually wanted. Now the job sounded great. Anybody would have thought she was crazy, but that's not what she wanted. So I counseled her probably against what a lot of people would do. I said, "Don't take the job." And so she's like, well, why? It's not what you want. So you're going to go out there, you're going to find out 10 years later that you should have never taken this job. So then 10 years of your life is gone.
And you're in too deep to unwind it. So you feel like you've got a certain lifestyle now. You've been promoted a couple of times that you just can't get, unwind that and get out of it.
Absolutely. And she had a situation where I counseled her. I said, this is the time with your situation. You have great family support and all these different things. You need to shoot for the stars now. You need to go for what you want and what you need, what your desires are, what your ideal picture would be for yourself. And you need to go for it right now. This is the time to go for it. And she did that, and it couldn't have ended up any better. Without giving too many details out, I don't want to, because there may be someone listening to that, oh, that's so-and-so. So, but it couldn't have turned out any better if she had, again, written it down, hint, hint, wink, wink, written it down and planned for it. It couldn't have went any better. And it all began with her saying no to that job, and people thought she was a crazy person
for saying no to that job. Slip through because they're afraid. All right, so listen, Dutch, I want to, I like to do like parables or analogies, and so this is kind of like that. So when we're talking about building a great life, I want you to think about the Golden Gate Bridge versus that rope bridge in the Indiana Jones movie. What was it? Temple of Doom. Do you remember that?
Yes, that's a great bridge. I love that bridge.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the difference, right? You can build the Golden Gate, which is going to take you massive amounts of planning, massive amounts of resources and investment, right? And then the execution and the building is not going to happen overnight, because you have to, first off, a lot of people would just plant the bridge at the Narrows, but maybe the Narrows isn't where maybe the bottom will not handle the pylons. So you have to find out where will the bridge last.
So I'm going to have to, before we have this conversation, I'm going to have to get rid of my affection for rope bridges, though. I'm going to have to do that just for the sake of this.
No, you can love here's the rope bridge, right? So the rope bridge is cheap. Yeah, and I know you love cheap, right? There's no planning involved, right? Other than you got to get this string tied off to the other side. Once you do that, you're golden, baby. The only problem is it's rickety. One person at a time can go across it, and all you need is some crazy person with a machete on the other end to take the whole thing out.
There's so much fun with all the shaky, all the danger. Oh, that's so much fun.
The vertigo, sure. Yeah, that's awesome. When the wind blows, you're going sideways. That's so fantastic.
It looked like a lot of fun in the movie too, especially when the main character always survives at the end. He almost dies, but he always survives.
Yeah, that was a stunt, man. That wasn't actually Harrison Ford, or it was the little doll. Remember, Steven Spielberg was before the CGI. They had the little GI Joes and the little,
So forget all that. Forget the fun part of it, and the dangerous part of it, the fantasy part of it.
No, if you want to live your life like that, you're more than welcome. But it's very cheap. There is no plan. You can just string it up, and you're good to go.
And you could die
very quickly. You'll love it. It's very unstable. It's not steady. You don't want to be out there in a rainstorm. Or you could take the time to actually build a solid bridge, one that lasts and lasts and lasts. Right, I mean, like the Golden Gate.
Now, but let me ask you this. So the example of the rope bridge, the way I just displayed it, I made it sound like really fun. You're on it, it's moving around, it's swaying. It's like a mini roller coaster. Isn't that the way the most dangerous and bad things are marketed, though? Like there's something more than they are? Like the shortcut is always marketed better. Like that thing that's
the reason it is, and this is a little bit of people whisperers, this is a little insight, that we are built, the human machine, we already are built to want to do the shortcut. The shortcut already looks better to us anyway. If it's less work, see, this is what when we were in the Marine Corps, right? Is that the Marines always take the path of least resistance. A Marine grunt will go down a trail that's already blazed, and that's what they were getting us with in Vietnam with tripwires and punji sticks and all that, because you're going down the trail that's already blazed. Take the path of least resistance. This is what the human machine does. We're already determined and predisposed to take the shortcut.
So what we're here to say is don't fall for the okie doke. I know it looks fun, it looks shiny, it looks easier, it looks quicker. Don't fall for the okie doke. Because like we said earlier, if you build the foundation of your home like that, if you have a strong foundation and you have a weak roof, at least when a strong wind comes, you're only replacing the roof.
I mean,
but if that's
The three little pigs got that right. At least one of the pigs did.
But if that foundation is weak and quick and not with solid substance and solid materials, when that wind comes, the whole house is coming down. Everything's coming down. So if that foundation isn't right,
so
everything is over.
Mental toughness, bedtime stories, Three Little Pigs.
I love it.
Three Little Pigs. Right. So, this is serious because the rope bridge doesn't even have a foundation. There's no footers. There's no pylons. It's not into the bedrock. None of that. It's just you're stringing it across, and that's how most people run their lives. It's just as long as I can tie it off on the other side, I'm good to go. It blows my mind. Okay, so if you really want to have a great life, I'll say it like this, because most people, they would be satisfied, more than satisfied, to just have a good life. Would you agree with that, Dutch?
Absolutely. That's evidenced. I mean, that's evidenced by most of the people we know, if you just take a moment and think about it.
Yeah, they want to have a good life, let alone a great life. Now, I'm going to make this statement. It might kind of blow some of yours mind. It's easy to have a good life. It's very, very easy to have a good life. It doesn't take much effort at all.
I would agree.
It's hard Very difficult. Massive amounts of energy to have a great life, but it's so worth it.
And one thing people will realize after the fact, and this is how it always works. When you look back on something that was seemingly so difficult and so hard, when you put it in perspective, it wasn't. Because what you do is you end up comparing the work to the value.
Yeah.
See, in the beginning, it seems so hard because you don't have the value to compare it to. The value isn't that it turned into is not a part of the equation.
Yeah, because you haven't even realized it yet. Right. It reminds me of that commercial, we're settlers. Don't we provide you with the gray water soup and one lick of the family lollipop every harvest moon? I have my foot stomping and you have your cabbages. I mean, it's a good life. That's easy. Anybody can have a good life. It takes almost no energy at all. Dutch, I use this example in our coaching call this past week, right, with water, taking tap water and then turning it into boiling water, right? So tap water comes out, and then to get it to 212 degrees is boiling, right? And then it's a state change, it turns into steam. All the way from like whatever that temperature is that it comes out at room temperature, tap water, it's probably like 55 or 60 degrees, all the way up to 211 degrees. When you boil, you got it takes 80 calories of energy per gram of water to raise 1 degree. That's all, 80 calories per gram. To go from 211 to 212 to make a state change, from going not boiling to boiling, it takes 540 calories of energy per gram. It's 6.7 times the energy per gram to produce a state change, to go that last degree, to go from being good, having a good life, to having a great life. And the sad fact is that only about 1%, the 1% that we're always protesting, do the 6.75 times per gram of energy to get to the other side. That's sad to me. But then what we're going to do is take our energy and go protest those people.
Wow.
And it's not like I don't know them. Dutch, I've been with some of the richest folks in the world. I mean, like top 4, top 10.
Absolutely.
I know what it took to, and some of them created stuff out of nothing. They didn't inherit anything. In fact, the ones that are great they didn't inherit 30 seconds. Let's pick up on this when we get back from break. 7 times the energy to go from good to great that last degree. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch and Andrew.